I've decided something. You want to know what that is?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah.
It's better if I turn my mic on.
Yeah, well, I know the people at home want to answer me. They're probably looking at their iPhone and they're going, yes, Paul, yes. Tell me what you want. I've decided, based upon the recent news reports, that you can choose not only what sex you want to be, regardless of what your plumbing was when you were born. You can also choose whatever race you want to be. You can just decide, regardless of how you were born. I'm going to be Japanese. I decided I am now, from this moment forward, Japanese, and you will refer to me as Markle-san.
Markle-san.
You refer to me as Markle-san from this point forward, and if you do not, I will sue you for violating my race choice.
15-minute.
Oh, that's Chinese.
Same thing.
No. Ooh. All right, it's not. Don't get bunched up. Don't write me letters. Andrew Ho, don't write me letters. We actually have some really badass Japanese people that do listen to the show, and I know that follow us. But I kid. But those of you that actually, for whatever reason, have been inundated with the what do we want to call that, Jared? Is it ignorance, distraction, or guilt? Oh, the distraction part of the culture.
Did you see the message we got on Student Gun Facebook about that specific? If you can choose, then I want to choose this.
Oh, what did the person say?
Jeff Kaminsky. He said, apparently it doesn't matter what genes or gender you're born with. You can just be whatever you want now. If that's the case, I choose to be Paul Markle's son.
Oh, really? Did they decide that?
Yeah.
Well, you can do that all you want, but you're not in my will, and I'm not paying for your dentistry. I'm not paying for your braces, so there you go.
Maybe we should send him a sticker. Send him a sticker. Hey, Jeff, send me your address. Jared at studentofthegun.com. JARRAD at studentofthegun.com. We'll get you a sticker.
Yeah, you better make sure you're clearing that stuff before you clear it with Zachary before you give stuff away. You know Zachary gets pissed at you when you just start giving stuff away without clearing it with him first, because it's easier for you to just say that. It's him that actually has to do the physical work of sorting and shipping.
Well, that one just goes in an envelope. Right?
Oh, yeah, that is true. That just goes in an envelope.
That's why I chose a sticker and not a shirt. See, Zach, I had you in mind.
All right, yeah. Oh, you want to hear something stupid? Or one of these can you say DAFUQ? Can you say that on the radio? On the public hour and still maintain a family? This is one of those moments. So, we have AT&T Internet, right? And you're like, how come we don't have cable and how come we don't have... Look, here's the deal. Where the Hacienda is located, we have a grand total of one choice for Internet.
You want to know something, though?
What?
AT&T has this new thing called Uverse.
Yeah. Listen,
okay.
Don't confuse the story.
Okay.
I'm on my story. So we have, where the Hacienda is located, we have basically a grand total of one practical choice for Internet. So we went with that one choice that we had. Okay, great. Because the other cable company, and keep in mind that we are less than 3 miles from an interstate highway. We called them up and they're like, you're too far out in the country. We don't provide service out there. Like we live in Wyoming or something. But anyway, so we have to deal with AT&T. Well, the AT&T Internet went out a while ago. We were having problems with it, and so they come out, and we kept calling them. They come out. He's like, "Oh, well, here's the problem right here. Your cable's all, the original cable's all chewed up, and so forth. So what we'll do is we'll send a crew out, and we'll replace the cable." Okay, thank you. So keep in mind, 9 months ago, this started. It was 9 months ago that this process began. The whole, we got to call for service. Okay, we got to get new this. Okay, we got to get new that. So they come and they bring the new cable. Rock on. Great. Thank you very much. And then they tell us they put the new cable, they install it. Of course, it's laying on top of the ground. And the guy says, we'll put in a service work order, and within 2 to 3 weeks, somebody will be out to bury the cable. Okay. So 2 to 3 weeks goes by, 4 weeks goes by, 5 weeks goes by. We're like, did they forget about us? They're just like, whatever, we don't care about you. Well, we had like bad thunderstorms, whatever. We had problems again. We call them, and they're like, oh, okay. They send somebody out, and the somebody that comes out says, well, they didn't bury that cable yet? Yeah, here's your sign.
Yeah, they buried it, but it's still on top of the ground.
They did, but we decided we liked the looks of the cable, so we dug it up and we put it back on the grass. And so they're like, oh, okay, all right, I'm going to fix it. So they fix it, and he takes the orange flag tape, and he ties orange flag tape all up and down the length of the new cable. And he says, all right, well, if somebody's not here within a week to bury this, let me know. Okay, so 14 days later, an AT&T crew shows up with the magic Ditch Witch machine to bury the cable, right? So, and this, of course, this is in the middle of the day when Mrs. Markle and I are both working. We're here at the studio. Actually, I went home for lunch, and they're like, hey, we're here to bury the cable. I'm like, okay, great, fantastic, thank you. And they don't need access to the inside of the house, so they can just bury it. Okay, great. So go back to work, think everything's cool. Mrs. Markle goes to work, and get home last night from work. Guess what, Jared?
It's unburied.
No, it's buried.
The internet doesn't work.
The internet doesn't work.
Wow.
So now the buried cable, the cable's buried, but the internet is out again. Are you kidding me? I guess I would rather have the cable laying in the yard and it be working than it be buried and not working. I did due diligence, and I followed the cable to make sure that it was actually attached on both ends. I walked out to the pole by the road to make sure that it was, that the black cable was stuck up into that little box thing. And then I went to the back of the house to make sure that end was stuck into the little box thing. So, while your beloved host, Professor Paul, is at work today in the Glass Case of Emotion studios, Mrs. Markle is on the phone with AT&T asking them, what the heck? Can we get both the cable buried and working at the same time? Do you think we could do that? I don't know. Well, the good news for you is here at Student of the Gun University, we do have internet. And we do have computers, and we do have black carbon steel microphones. So that must mean it is time to do another episode of Student of the Gun Radio. And thank you for letting me vent. I truly appreciate that.
But why do we have all that stuff?
You're such a benevolent audience. Well, because we have a lot of friends in the industry. And it's Wednesday as you're listening to this. Well, maybe you're listening to it later in the week, but the show that we're putting up is Wednesday's show, which means it's time for a SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk update.
And you don't need no makeup. Original cute body makeup and bottom. Physically fit, physically fit, physically fit. Woman, physically fit, physically fit, physically fit. Woman, nice, sweet, fantastic. Big body ocean is a big tight and a woman nice, sweet, energetic. Big body ocean is a big tight and a woman nice, sweet, fantastic. Big body ocean is a big tight and a woman.
Thank you, King Julian, for the intro music.
He like a move it.
I wish you guys could see Dad in there.
I like a move it.
I just wish I got to put a video up when I play that song next time. So next Wednesday, remind me. So one of you remind me to put a video up.
One of the people listening remind you? Okay.
Maybe Alex will do it if she can hear me right now. Can she hear me? Yeah, okay. So
she looked at you.
This week I want to talk about a morning routine, and this is something that I kind of got out of the habit of doing for the past, a couple months, but I'm starting to get back into it now, and it kind of reminded me how important it is. If you don't have a morning routine, you need to make one up for yourself, and I'll give you mine that I used to do and that I'm going to get back into doing now. So my morning routine is usually, what I'll do is I'll wake up, I'll take 10 deep breaths, get the blood flowing throughout your body, preferably while you're laying down, because if you're laying flat, I probably already explained this, but if you lay flat, your blood only has, the gravity on your blood is not the same as if you're standing up, if that makes sense. Take the 10 deep breaths, then I'll get out of bed, go make some coffee. I sit down with my cup of coffee, I'll either answer some emails or read a book, and then once I finish the coffee, I'll get my shower and then get out and get ready for work. And you're like, oh, well, that's just a simple routine. Yeah, but if you do that routine every morning, it sets you up for success during the day. It's kind of like a morning ritual, I guess you'd say. And another thing that I need to start doing again, I did it last night, and it made my morning go much smoother, is setting everything, like setting my clothes out, checking, make sure I have everything set out and in place so I could just grab it and go. And I was... What?
Dude, I tried to get you... I
did it for the longest time, and then I just
okay.
stopped doing it, and it didn't... Well, and except for when we go on trips. Then that's a different story. Because usually I wait till 10 p.m. the night before and pack. But, busy problems. Hashtag busy man problems.
Yeah, okay, sure. What's funny about you said about put everything in its place? If you put everything...
I'm not talking about the kitchen.
No. No, putting things like in the bedroom, like for instance, I know where everything is.
Yeah.
And so I can get up in the dark and I can find what I need without turning on the bedroom lights or anything and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
But the person that I married, not so much.
Yeah, that's funny. No, and that brings up a good point. If you put your stuff in the same spot every night before you go to bed, if you hear a bump in the night, you have to get up. Obviously, I keep a flashlight and a gun on the table next to me at night. But if you need to grab something else, a knife, whatever, you'll know exactly where it is. You won't have to flip the light on to check it, to grab it. And one thing, I started reading EJ's new book, and he mentioned in there stuff that you mentioned before, is to actually physically touch your items before you go to sleep, the items that you carry every day. Because then you know they're there. Sometimes you could look and think they're there. Your mind plays tricks on you like that. But if you physically touch them, then you know for certain that they are in that spot.
Well, it's kind of like the crossbreed bedside backup.
Yep.
As we've got...
I need to get one of those.
Well, how do you not have one? I don't understand. But I got the bedside backup, and I'll do that at night in the dark. I'll lay there in bed, and on the bedside. The cool thing about the bedside backup, and if you're not using this, and I didn't mean for this to be a crossbreed commercial, but whatever. The cool thing about it is the way it's constructed. You can take any kind of a Surefire light or whatever your favorite flashlight is, your favorite pocket light. If it's got a pocket clip, you just clip it right onto the bedside backup. You don't need extra pouches or anything. You just clip it right there, and it's there. And so what I'll do at night habitually is I'll lay down, the lights are off, and I'll roll over and I'll reach down and I'll touch the gun and I'll touch the flashlight. And a lot of times I'll just take my thumb and I'll bump the on switch and make sure that it illuminates. That it illuminates, and then I feel like comfortable. I'm like, okay, I'm good to go. But yeah, like I said, I didn't mean for it to be that way. But the bedside backup, or the touching the stuff, or putting your stuff in, I guess if we can go with the ordering your life, Jared, put your stuff in the same place all the time. Because if you put your stuff in the same place all the time, whether it's in the same pockets, the same position, the same whatever, if it's not there for some weird reason, if you went brain dead and put it, it's like your keys. You come home and you always put your keys in the same place.
Yeah, we have a key hook. I actually hang mine up every time.
And the one time you get busy, the dogs are barking, someone needs your attention, and you throw your keys down somewhere else, and you forget about it. And then the next morning you're like, why are my keys not in that spot?
Yeah.
And because they're supposed to be in that spot, you lose it. So get in the habit of always doing that. My stuff that goes in my pockets, kind of like the stuff I take to the zoo. When I lay that, if I take all that stuff out of my pockets, I lay it out on the dresser so that it's all there. So I make sure that all the parts go back where they need to be.
I'm going to draw outlines around it. I'm going to draw outlines around my stuff, so that way when I need to put it down on the table, I know exactly where it goes. And that way I'll be missing a
pegboard, a tool pegboard.
Yep, a pegboard. Draw outlines on it.
All right, well, there you go. Morning routine. Get into it. Morning routines, evening routines, and that is brought to you by SWAT Fuel. Did you want to? It says SWAT Fuel store link. Does that just mean to go in the the show notes?
It goes in the show notes. Oh, I forgot the most important part of my morning routine. Taking my 40 cal multivitamin. Shame on me for forgetting that, but yeah, that's part of it.
All right, and don't forget, if you guys go to the SWAT Fuel store, use the promo code, was it?
SOTG 2015.
2015, yeah. SOTG 2015. and you're going to save some money off your total order. And if you're a grad program member, you save even more. All right, Faith in the Patriot winner. We announced this on Friday on the grad program hour, but we didn't say anything about it in the public hour. We didn't say anything yesterday or the day before.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, because... I don't know.
Well, the
I
press
don't know why we did do that.
Well, I don't know, but the press release went out today. It's on AmmoLand. It's on the Outdoor Wire. It's out on the net. But congratulations. Now, I'm going to get in trouble, or I might not get in trouble. Sean, P-O-S-E. His last name is P-O-S-E. I don't know if that's pronounced Pose or Posey.
Well, he didn't say. He didn't correct us when he emailed, so it must be Pose.
Okay, Sean Pose or Posey or Pose or
Posse?
Pause. I don't think it's that. But anyway, congratulations to Sean. Sean is a Student of the Gun grad program member. And because he's a grad program member, and we like to reward you dudes and dudettes, we did the special limited edition proof copy of the Faith in the Patriot book. We talked about it. But, yeah, it's on its way, Sean. Well, as soon as Zach can get back on the Internet and print up a Stamps.com label, he's going to send that out to you. But that's just one of the many things that we do for our grad program members. If you're not one, you can fix yourself super easy.
Real quick,
What's
before
that?
you get too far, but while I'm thinking about it, I need to make sure that you took that proof copy that Mom used to prove.
Yeah, I took it off the table and gave it to Zach.
No, listen to what I'm saying. You took that proof copy and you went through the original document that we had and you corrected everything, right? Not just the one that you gave to the publisher?
Yeah.
Okay, because if we give the proof copy away and then, you know what I mean? Okay, just making sure.
No, all the changes.
I know you changed
all
it.
the changes have been made. The changes have been made and submitted.
I know what you're saying. They've been made and submitted to the publisher, but I want.
They were submitted from the original document.
Okay, so you downloaded the original document and you sent that to the publisher.
You see what I have to deal with, folks? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
And that's just the way it is. All right. Oh, wow. So there we go. We've got our SWAT Fuel Warrior or Fuel Fitness Talk out of the way. I'm checking my notes here. I guess it must be time to move on to another segment. Now, Jared, you see I've got, after I acknowledge our sponsors, we've got a update theme. We've got the update theme we need to use for the that first story. So make sure you got that cued. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, if you didn't see the TP9 essay video that we put up on our YouTube link and on our social media.
Dude, it went all over the place. So if you didn't see it, then
if you didn't see it,
wrong.
You're not paying attention. So start paying attention a little more. But anyway, Century Arms. Dude, I'm going to editorialize real quick. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I think this is. Hang on, let me check. See if
well, you asked for permission. So.
Is this my show still?
Okay.
All right. Do you know? You remember we got it? This is a long time ago. Somebody out there in the fan world or non-fan world, or the people who listen but aren't fans,
like
which
big
is
ass
weird.
fan?
No, was like. I asked if is this my show? Can I say what I want? And that offended them. They wrote a big thing about like how that offended them. It's like, you know what, dude? This is America. If you want your own show, go out, get sponsors, find a producer, get computers, buy black carbon steel microphones, and go crazy. Century Arms, they are a sponsor of Student of the Gun. They are also the sponsor of the Student of the Gun mobile app. If you got an iPhone, if you got an Android phone, if you have an iPad, and you don't have the Student of the Gun mobile app on there, well, what's wrong? Come on, dudes, get on it. It doesn't cost you anything thanks to Century. It takes you literally like 30 seconds worth of Wi-Fi time to download it and put it on there. And you're going to get updates. You can access essentially everything that we do. You can access the YouTube videos. You can access the radio. You can access the articles. You can access... we actually have a thing called Gallery on there, and every time Zach updates the Instagram, you get the new pictures and what have you. So check that out. Crossbreed Holsters, we've already talked about them. They got this really cool thing called a bedside backup. So what you do is you get home at night, and you're like, okay, I'm all done. I'm going to take off my clothes. You take your gun out of your Super Tuck. You slip it into the bedside backup, do your business, and then you get up in the morning, you pull the gun out of the bedside backup, put it into the Super Tuck, and go on about your business. That way you always know where the gun is. It's either attached to your body. That's like my main gun. It's either attached to my body, which that way I know where it is and I can control it, or I'm in the bed and it's in the bedside backup next to me. How simple is that? It's not all that hard. So you laughing?
Yeah, I have a comment to say, but I want to say it and then cut it with the song. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then
you're done.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay, when you're done.
All right, when you're done. If you guys watch the TP9 SA video, you know that what we had to do when we had the brand new factory guns, they were pretty dry. And we started running them dry because apparently we're all, like, there was a dozen knuckleheads out there that never, like, well, when you're testing guns from a company and they bring them out and give them to you, you usually just take what they give you. You don't take them and strip them down. But they got dirty and muddy, so we stripped them, we cleaned them, we frog lubed them, we went back up on the line and just ran the ever-living crap out of them. Frog Lube, it just works. Check those guys out at froglube.com. All right, now I am done talking.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to point out that you said Super Tuck, and I thought you were talking about Caitlyn Jenner.
All right, thank you, Geddy Lee from Rush, for that that blast from the past there. A lot of you young crumb crunchers out there, you wet behind the ears kids, you don't know about Takeoff and the McKenzie brothers. But you can go ahead and duck it or, do your internet research. Now, this story comes to us from the glorious Great White North, Dateline, June 11th, 2015. Here we go. This is the title of it. This is the evil, the deception that we're dealing with in the world today. Strengthening Canadian security and promoting hunting and recreational shooting. You're like, wow, I can get behind that, right? I mean, if this is a new bill, if this is a new law that's going to strengthen Canadian security and, in addition to that, promote hunting and recreational shooting, well, obviously I can get behind that. And this is the source is eurekablog.ca. Thank you, eurekablog.ca. And it's under their politics column. I will begin reading the story as it is written. I oppose the conservative philosophy and the gun lobby's belief that better access to firearms ensures better security. It's just the opposite. However, I respect the hunters and sport shooters. I tabled Bill S-231 to promote the activities of hunting and sport shooting while strengthening the security of Canadians. Now, wait, I'm going to tell you who wrote this when it comes to the end. Through my bill titled Strengthening Canadian Security and Promoting Hunting and Recreational Shooting, I intend to accomplish the following. Overhaul the current firearms program by prohibiting all firearms in Canada except hunting firearms. Redefine the three classes of firearms by making all firearms illegal except hunting firearms, and by localizing the prohibition of restricted firearms. Limit the definition of hunting firearms to the arms that really... This is... Wow. This is the exact quote from this. It says, limit the definition of hunting firearms to the arms that really used for purposes of hunting. Is that a correct sentence? That would be no.
They are Canadians.
They need a copy editor. Replace restricted firearms class with circumscribed firearms classes, and the arms of this class will be only usable at or in shooting clubs. Replace the registration certificate with an inscription certificate. Reinforce the role of the RCMP, that would be the Canadian Gestapo, and the Commission of Firearms under statutory provision. Limit the transport of circumscribed firearms to transporters, thus controlling the movement of firearms in Canada. And, finally, undo all the provisions of Bill C-2 except for the prohibition of obtaining a license to possess and acquire firearms following a domestic violence conviction. And at the bottom it says, in 2005, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled unanimously in R.V. Wiles that in Canada, to acquire or possess a firearm, it is a privilege and not a right. And who wrote this? Who is the genius? Who is the progressive thinking person here? Well, it's Senator Céline Hévaux-Payotte. That's right. If you live in Canada, congratulations, because you have a far-left wacko in the Honorable Céline Hévaux-Payotte, Member of Parliament. She is a senator, and she has seen fit to determine that you, peasants in Canada, number one, can only possess a firearm as a privilege of the state, that's offered to you by the state, of course, and that only hunting and recreational shooting, that is the only reason that someone should be allowed by the state to possess a firearm. And according to Céline is the philosophy that the gun lobby's belief that better access to firearms ensures security. It's just the opposite. That's according to the expert witness here, Céline. It's just the opposite. Céline, explain to me how exactly it is the opposite. I'm sorry, what now? Oh, you don't have any facts to base that up? You're just going to say that because when you're a politician, you can just say things, even if they're completely untruthful. They're complete lies and propaganda, but we'll just say it. However, and this is the big however, it might as well be but. You know what's everything before but is BS. But I respect hunters and sport shooters. Essentially what your member of parliament here, Céline, is trying to do is she's trying to turn Canada into Europe as far as guns are concerned. As you all know, on the continent of Europe, there is no defensive firearms. You don't own guns for personal defense. You own guns so you are allowed to go to a gun club and play with them and then lock them back up in the safe and go home. Or they might allow you to take certain types of guns and go hunting with them after you pay the exorbitant fees and licensing and all that. But other than that, no, none for you. No guns for you.
Jeff is the dude that makes the rats, right?
Yeah, Jeff Kirkham.
Jeff Kirkham. Okay, I just wondered. I wanted to make sure. You want to announce the new channel yet?
Which one? The
let's
Full
do it.
30?
Yeah.
No.
No?
We are. Yeah, go ahead and do that, and then we'll jump into the meat of the topic.
Meat. I like meat. Red meat, white meat, dark meat. All kinds of
All right,
meat.
tell them what you did, hippie.
Okay, so I partnered with Full 30, or we partnered, Student of the Gun partnered with Full 30 now we have our own channel on there, full30.com/.
Yeah. Take a moment and explain to the audience members who have absolutely no idea what a Full 30 is.
It's a magazine full of 30 rounds.
Tell them what it is.
It's basically, okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of a backstory here. Dad and I, we have nothing to do with the development of this Full 30 channel, but I don't know, year and a half ago, we had an idea for a television network on the internet, which is, imagine
a
that.
Firearms TV network.
It was going to be called Firearms TV Network. We scooped up the URL and everything, and then we just didn't have time to do it. So, but then I don't even remember how I found the Full 30 thing. But anyway, I don't remember how I found it. But go to full30.com. They are a firearms television network. It's basically like a YouTube for firearms. It really is. It's pretty much the same thing. And they've got a 2.0 release coming out this summer that has a lot of upgrades. But if you go to full30.com/student of the gun, then you can go directly to our channel. We have a couple videos up there right now. I will be uploading more. But yeah, do that and watch it and comment.
Ooh, yeah, it's there. I just did that. I just typed it in. Oh, he's got the Angry Paul video up.
What is it?
It's the Are You Prepared for ARTR?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the ARTR video.
He must like that one.
Because that makes people, it hurts their little feelings. It makes them tinkle down their legs.
Yep. So the whole reason that came up is because he was talking about the rats tourniquet. They did a campaign with rats, and then I thought about it. And
Full 30 did?
Yeah, Full 30
cool.
did. So if you go there, click the little green subscribe button on our channel, subscribe to us. We're going to have a bunch of new videos coming out. We've got tons of videos.
It's just one of a million ways that we're trying to get the message out.
Yep.
So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the meat of the title portion of this. And before we do that, we want to thank our friends at Velocity Triggers, velocitytriggers.com. They are designed for precision. You got a black rifle? They got a trigger for you. And also Brownells at brownells.com. If you have a gun, even if you don't own a firearm, there's something for you at brownells.com. Check those guys out. Well, the title of this is NFA Lies. Like GNR Lies. No, you don't even know. Do you even know what that is? GNR Lies?
No, GNR.
GNR Lies. It was an album. Anyway, it was their second album, which was really like an EP. But
you want to know something?
What?
My generation, the majority of my generation, they don't even know what album songs are from anymore. Because you don't have to buy a whole album for
No,
a
you
song.
just buy the
You
song.
just buy the song.
Yeah. Well, it kind of used to be that way with 45s when they had singles. You know, they had 45s. And
Like a 1911?
you already did that joke. You can't do it twice in 1 week. But, yeah, it kind of was like that with singles.
Like a Kimber.
You know what a B-side is?
No, the other side of the tape. Side A and side B.
Yeah, a B-side is... All right, when a B-side is a... When you release, and when a record company would release a song, and I know this is totally not gun-related, when a record company would release a hit song, they go through the album, which was like, 8, 10, 12 songs or so, and they're like, okay, which one of these songs are we going to promote? Which one of these is going to be our hit? And, like Hound Dog or whatever by Elvis Presley. Well, the record has two sides.
Yeah.
So you had to put something on the B-side. So they would pick an also-ran song. Because you're not going to put two really hot songs on the same one,
Then
right?
you have to buy two.
Yeah, because you want people to buy the next one. So you had to come up with something. And there's the industry joke was about B-sides. There's like the music that we put on there because we had to put something, but it's not really the greatest, or it's, a little different or whatever. It doesn't have that pop. So there were actually... bands or producers, companies that would put out albums called like B-sides or the best of B-sides or what have you. So anyway, besides that, never let a crisis go. The story could be titled "Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste." And if you don't have a crisis, just go ahead and make one. Now, recently we were asked, me, Jared, I, about our opinion regarding the NFA, the National Firearms Act of 1934. Now, this is something that you guys might not know, but the NFA, and we talked about this and how the National Firearms Act of 1934 was the first federal gun control law. Did you know that the first federal gun control law was challenged and it was taken to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court found that the law was unenforceable? And you're like, what? The law was unenforceable. Then why is it still on the books? I know you're thinking, well, then it's null and void. No, it's not null and void. What they did, the reason that we have a 1968 Gun Control Act was because the original NFA, once it finally met up with a Supreme Court challenge, they're like, hey, you guys can't enforce this. And they're like, oh, crap. Well, real quick, so they scrambled under Johnson. And remember, don't ever forget this, all of you pro-gun people that have liberal Democrat friends or Democrat friends, or if you're listening to me right now and you're a registered Democrat, I don't even know what to say to you. You obviously have your head so far up your rectum. Oh, you can't tell me that. Yeah, I can, and I just did. It's time for you to face reality. A Democrat, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, signed the original NFA in 1934. A Democrat, Lyndon B. Johnson, signed the 1968 Gun Control Act, the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act. You like that, Jared?
Yep.
Oh, it makes the streets safer, because the streets, it's something, I don't know where this street is. There's a street that has all the guns on it, it's in the street. But according to this, well, the 1968 Omnibus Crime Control and Crime Control and Safe Streets Act and the Gun Control Act of 1968. So what they did is the Supreme Court told the feds, they're like, hey, bro, this whole 1934 NFA, it doesn't meet the constitutional muster. It doesn't meet the sniff challenge, and you can't enforce it. And they're like, crap. So they scrambled, and they came up with a new one, and they put it back through, and they basically took all the 1934 stuff, put it into the new bill, and passed that. And they're like, ha, we got you. You say that, but... And essentially, the 1968 bill is just a rewrite of the 1934 bill with a few changes. So then they're like, okay, well... They come back around, and they say in 1986. Now, this is what's sad to me, is that this was passed in 86. Complaints that the federal government had been. Oh, this is the story we've got here. I mean, you can look up 1934, 1968, 19 whatever. My point is this. Then we got the Brady Control Act. We had the 1994 Clinton crime bill, and so forth. And when it comes to the NFA. When it comes to the 1968, when it comes to all this jazz, we cannot have an honest conversation about it. You cannot have an honest conversation, pro and con, without someone injecting emotion. You cannot do this based upon fact. Well, what are you talking about, Paul? What do you mean, fact? Well, number one, the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, this thing called the Bill of Rights, does not say that people have the right to keep and bear arms unless someday a bad person gets a hold of a gun and does something bad with the gun. Well, then if a bad person gets a gun and uses it, well, then that trumps that. Then the right of the people to keep and bear arms is no longer valid because we never realized. You suppose when Madison was writing, they're like, well, I never realized that bad people could get guns, too. I thought that was just going to be the good people. Well, if I'd have known that bad people could get guns, I would have never wrote that. There's been bad people, there's been evil has existed since the beginning of time. Can we accept that? And disarming the lawful or the good does not harm the evil. It does not hinder the evil to disarm the good.
You know, it's kind of funny. I opened up.
Coffee cup's empty? Is that what's kind of funny?
That's just cruel. That's not even funny. That's not a joke. He's shaking it to try to make more coffee appear. It didn't work. But I opened up Facebook to check the Student of the Gun thing. And I have this thing on my personal Facebook. It's called Newsfeed Eradicator. So I don't see my newsfeed. So I don't get lost in my Facebook. It pops up with a
so it doesn't suck you in.
Yeah, it pops up with a quote from a person, and the quote that just popped up is from Winston Churchill. It says, "We are still masters of our fate. We are still captains of our souls." So it kind of went along with the "we are masters of our fate" thing. Just went along with this conversation.
Yeah, you get the government that you deserve, and all right. So moving on. Well, let's continue with why is it a lie, Paul? Why do you say that it's a lie? Well, number one, do I have to go to Chicago, to D.C., to Detroit, to Baltimore, to India, to England, to Australia? Do I have to cite these examples over and over and over again? The places with the strictest gun control have the highest crime. And you bring that up to the pro-gun control people, the gun control advocates, and they're like, well, that might be true, but the reason there's so much crime in New York City is because all those illegal guns are coming from Virginia. Okay. So what you're telling me is that your effort to control crime by making guns harder to get or guns illegal or guns bad failed, not because the law itself was poorly written or was poorly constructed or was just based on a lie. It's because other people that aren't in your jurisdiction have too much freedom. So what are you telling me? You're telling me that the criminals in your city, New York, Chicago, Baltimore, that if they want to get guns, they're going to get them from somewhere. You mean like the criminals in Australia who, even though it's illegal to have guns and carry guns and hide guns on your body, are still using them? When you have an armed home invasion in England, and you're like, how can that be? Don't the criminals know that that's against the law? What? Canada. We just talked about Canada. Armed home invasion, Canada. How can that possibly be? Celine said that guns don't make us safer. No. Guns in the hands of bad people and out of the hands of good people makes us less safe. So when you address the facts, they have to squirm and move around like, but if this law will save the life of one child, it's worth it. Really? So you're going to strip 300 million people of their liberty because you think that this law might save one child's life? Do I need to even get into the Roe v. Wade and the infanticide? So you really, the children thing, that's a whole nother story. Folks, all right, you're in let's say you have the hippie liberal puke faces, that they get their wish, that they come up with a Canada-like or a Europe-like or a Australian-like law that everyone has to get a license to own a gun legally. But of course, if you're a criminal, drug dealer, doper, illegal alien, in the United States of America, we can't even enforce the existing laws. We have a federal government, a Department of Justice, that is not even interested in enforcing certain kinds of laws. We're going to enforce those laws, but those other ones right there, the immigration laws and stuff like that, the election laws, we're not going to enforce those because those don't help us. Those don't help us enslave the peasants. So we really don't care about those laws. Let's say that the entire United States of America becomes like a maximum security prison. No guns in, no guns out, weapons-free zone, right? In my travels as a human, in the many things that I have done, I've talked to a lot of corrections officers because I was a cop, worked in jails or around jails, prisons, and all that stuff, right? I was never a jailer, but I was a police officer, so I know a lot of jailers and corrections officers. Every single time in a prison, a jail, whatever, they do an unannounced shakedown. And every time they shake down a cell block, they come up with weapons. Have you not seen the pictures on the internet of shanks and shivs and so forth? What? So if you have the most, let's say a maximum security prison, anytime you allow human animals to mingle amongst each other, some of those human animals are going to have weapons. It goes all the way back to when they figured out if I pick that rock up off the ground and I hit that other guy with a rock, it will hurt him more than if I just hit him with my hand. If I hit him with this stick, it will hurt him more. Yeah, that's like built into the DNA. We know how to do that. So if you examine those facts, what you'll see is that the entire NFA, the entire gun control, every gun control bill from the very beginning, NFA came into, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you a quote from here, and this is very illustrative. If you think that the Sandy Hook and the movie theater shooting and all that other stuff, if you think that's a new tactic, you're wrong. That is the playbook. That is the never let a crisis go to waste playbook. And this is from the Washington Post thing, and it's been reprinted many times, but it says, spurred by the bloody Tommy gun era, ushered in by Al Capone, John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson, and Bonnie and Clyde, President Franklin D. Roosevelt mounts a, quote, New Deal for crime. One part of its National Firearms Act of 1934, the first federal gun control law, which levies a restrictive $200 tax on the manufacture and sale of machine guns and sawed-off shotguns. Yada, yada, yada. Well, we've talked about this before, but I'm going to remind you. Al Capone, Dillinger, Nelson, all these bootleggers and organized crime, The reason that they were able to gain so much power, so much money, so much sway in organized crime was because your government pushed for, and activist women and so forth, pushed for prohibition. Prohibition went into effect. The federal government's like, wow, we now have all this new power that we never had before. We can regulate the lives of people in every state through prohibition. Every person in every state now, we can regulate their lives through prohibition. And so the federal government took unto itself more power than it ever had before to regulate individual citizens' lives. And while they were doing that, they also, by prohibiting something that Americans wanted, created a huge, unforeseen black market for alcohol. So Capone and all of his cronies made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars selling bootleg whiskey, smuggling in whiskey, and so forth. So they created a problem. And one of the things that they pointed out, if you go to like Wikipedia or whatever, is that the American public was so incensed and so horrified by the St. Valentine's Day massacre. And they used that. The government used the St. Valentine's Day massacre to say, see, we cannot allow this. We have to do something. You have to allow us to pass this new gun control bill. So the St. Valentine's Day massacre, you can go back to 1934 to the 30s, and that was one of the first big crises that was used to push gun control down the American people's throats so that you would just accept some reasonable restrictions on your liberties. And it's been going on ever since. In 1968, you're like, well, how did they get the senators and congressmen to vote for that in 68? First they started with the Kennedy assassination, then they went with the Robert F. Kennedy assassination, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. They used all of those to push for gun control, even though the 1968 Gun Control Act would not have saved the lives of any of those people. If it would have been enforced when John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, if that would have been in place when they were assassinated, it wouldn't have stopped them from dying. But it doesn't matter because the people were really upset by that, and so we're going to use the crisis to strip the people of their liberty. The end of the story here, Jared, and we'll go ahead and cue the outro music, is that the NFA and all gun control is a lie, and it always has been from the very beginning. You cannot have an honest conversation about it. It's a conversation based upon fallacy, mythology, and feelings. All right. That's it for today. We've had we went longer than we normally do, but what the heck. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you come back tomorrow. We've got an ignorant voice from the past, someone who, are you kidding me? I can't believe that this person is still allowed to speak in public, but that's the world that we live in. Hey, did you know that the federal government's current catch and release program for illegal invaders has now netted at least a minimum of 121 murders of American citizens by illegal invaders who were caught and then released? How does that make you feel as an American? We're going to talk about that tomorrow, so don't miss tomorrow's show. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you should be a student for life.